I'm Catherine Strickland, and today for my presentation I will be doing the standard ELA GSE 2R L5, and this standard is basically story structure. I have to teach the children beginning, middle, and end, the settings, the character, and the title of the story. They have to be able to identify what makes the beginning, and what makes the end. Okay, I'm starting now. Hello class, so today we'll be learning story structure. Story structure is basically what makes a story. Who would have thought? Okay, so we have a beginning, we always have a middle, and we always have an end. The beginning, we're always going to introduce the story. How do we introduce the story? Who are the characters? What is the setting? The beginning is always going to introduce these two things. Then after we introduce these, we're going to go to the middle. This introduces the problem into our story. We can't have a story without a problem. It would be a very boring story if we didn't have something going on. So this is where we learn what is wrong, what's happening. Then after we learn what the problem is, we get that tension, we go over to the solution of the story, which is the end. This is how we solve the problem, and do our characters change? Like, do their emotions change? How they feel about something change? I like to think of a story kind of like a roller coaster. You kind of start out boring and slow. You go, no, there's a problem. I'm so scared. What's going on? It's fun. It's fun at the end. Okay, so we're going to go on to the story. The story we'll be reading together is called Eve's Big Day. It was a bright Saturday morning, and Eve was buzzing with excitement. She had been waiting all month for this day, the big baseball tournament at the city baseball fields. The sun was shining, and the fields were full of kids in colorful uniforms warming up and tossing balls. Eve's team, the Tigers, wore orange stripes with black stripes. She had her lucky glove and her cap pulled over her eyes. "I've got this," she whispered to herself as she jogged to the field. The game started strong. Eve caught a pop fly in the first inning, and she smiled as her team cheered. But in the third inning, something went wrong. The batter from the other team hit a ground ball right towards Eve at shortstop. She reached down to grab it, but it bounced off a rocket to get past her glove. "Oh no!" Eve gasped as the ball rolled into the outfield. The other team ran and scored. Eve's cheeks turned red. She walked slowly back to her spot, feeling embarrassed. Her coach walked over and knelt beside her. "Hey Eve, that was a tough one, but I believe in you. Just keep your head up and be ready for the next play." Eve nodded. Her stomach still felt twisty. She wanted to do better. In the last inning, the score was tied. The other team had one more batter. Everyone leaned forward in the bleachers. The pitcher threw the ball. Crack! The batter hit another ground ball, heading straight towards Eve. She took a deep breath, bent her knees, and kept her eyes on the ball. This time, she scooped it up and clearly threw it fast to first base. Or cleanly, sorry guys. Cleanly threw it back to first place. "Out!" yelled the umpire. The crowd cheered. Her team ran, clapping and giving her high fives. "You did it, Eve!" her coach said, grinning. Eve smiled wide. "I guess I messed up before," she said, "but I didn't give up." So that was Eve's big day. Okay, so this is a story map. We use these to help us identify the beginning, middle, the end. When we have it kind of broken down for us, it's a lot easier to place where everything is. So who knows the title of the story we just read? Right there? Yes, it's Eve's Big Day. Ooh. That looks a little wonky, doesn't it? Okay, that's fine. Okay, who are the characters in our story? The coach and Eve. Perfect. Okay, now I want you to think to yourself what the setting was in this story. Okay, and you can share it to your shoulder partner. And then raise your hand if you want to share what the setting is. Right here? Yes, the baseball fields, that's right. Okay, now this one might be a little tricky. Can we identify the beginning of the story? What's happening in the beginning of the story? I want you to think to yourself what's happening in the beginning of the story. Okay, I want you to share it to your shoulder partner again. Okay, and then who wants to share what's happening in the beginning of the story? Okay, right here? Yes, Eve is going to the baseball field. She is Yes, she is excited for her game. Okay, and we are introduced to the setting. We are introduced to the characters in the beginning. Correct. Okay, now who wants to identify what the middle of the story? What is our problem that is going on in the story? Right here? Yes. Eve misses a ball. And how does that make her feel? Right here? Yeah, it makes her feel like she's not good at the game. It makes her feel bad. Okay. So this is the beginning. The beginning is she's going to the field, she's excited for her game. Our problem that's going on is Eve misses a ground ball and it makes her feel bad. Okay, now once again, I want you to think, what is the ending of this story? Okay, once again, share with your shoulder partner what the ending of the story is. Okay, and then who wants to raise your hand if you want to tell me what the end of the story is? Here? Okay, correct. The coach gives her a pep talk. That's part of it. And then, right here? Yes, she catches a ball and her team wins. Okay, so let's go over it one more time. The title of the story is Eve's Big Game. The character, the coach and Eve. Our setting is the baseball field. This is all introduced in the beginning of our story. Once again, we learn that she's going to the baseball fields and she's excited. The middle of the story is when Eve misses the ground ball and it makes her feel kind of bad. It makes her feel like she's not good enough. The ending of the story is when our coach gives her a pep talk, she catches the ball, and her team wins. Okay, we're gonna do one more story together as a class, and then we're gonna do some independent study time. Okay, this story is called Donovan's Airport Adventure. Donovan clutched his stuffed dog, Barky, as we walked through the airport with his mom and his dad. He was so excited he could hardly walk straight. Are we almost at the gate? He asked for the third time. Almost, his dad laughed. You really can't wait to see Grandpa Joe, huh? Donovan shook his head. He promised to take me fishing, and we're going to make pancakes. His parents smiled. Grandpa Joe lived in Arizona, and Donovan had been counting the days to visit him. It was a long flight, but Donovan didn't mind. He liked planes, especially when he got a window seat. When they reached the gate, Donovan looked at the big glass windows and spotted their plane. It was huge! But then a voice came over the speakers. Attention passengers, Flight 22 to Arizona is delayed due to thunderstorms. We'll update you when more information is available. Donovan smiled, disappeared. What does that mean? He asked. His mom knelt beside him. It means we can't fly just yet. We must wait until a storm passes. But I want to see Grandpa Joe now, Donovan said. He flopped into his seat and hugged Barky tightly. The airport was crowded and noisy. People were walking fast, talking on their phones, and looking bored in chairs. Donovan crossed his arms. Waiting felt like forever. His dad sat beside him and said, Let's make our own fun while we wait. Want to go on a little airport adventure? Donovan's eyes lit up. Like exploring? Exactly, said his mom, smiling. They walked around the airport counting how many suitcases they saw in every color. Donovan spotted a little shop that sold books and even got a small pack of gummy bears at the tree. They found a big window to watch planes take off and land, and Donovan imagined he was a pilot. By the time they got to the gate, the announcement came again. Flight 22 to Arizona is now boarding. Finally, Donovan said, jumping up. On the plane, Donovan got a window seat. He leaned against it and watched the clouds go by, thinking about fishing and pancakes and hugging Grandpa Joe. When they landed, Grandpa Joe was waiting with a big smile and open arms. I missed you, kiddo, Grandpa said. I missed you too, Donovan said. Our flight got delayed, but I still had fun at the airport. Okay, we're going to do a story map one more time together as a class. So who wants to share to me what the title of the story is? Donovan's Airport Adventure. Good job. I'm going to put Dawn's. I'm just going to read that for now. Okay, who are our characters? I want you to think about who our characters are. Think real hard. Raise your hand if you know. Right here. Okay, so it's Donovan. mom, his dad. I should play crap about his grandpa, shouldn't I? And Grandpa Joe. The setting? Here. Airport. Correct. So what is happening in the beginning of our story? I want you to think real hard what's happening in the beginning of a story. Remember, back to your anchor chart, what happens in the beginning? Okay, now think to I want you to share with your shoulder partner. Okay, now raise your hand if you know. Here. Okay, we are, kind of get myself in the room, didn't I? We are at the airport. He is excited to see his grandpa. CG Paw with that. He's excited to see his grandpa. We are introduced to the setting. We're introduced to the characters. Okay, that's what happens in the beginning. What happens in the middle? Think real hard. Remember what our anchor chart said. Okay, now share with your partner. Raise your hand. Here. Plane is delayed. His plane is delayed, so you can't go see Grandpa Joe. And how is Donovan feeling while his plane is delayed? He's sad, isn't he? He is sad. He's sad that he doesn't see Grandpa Joe. Is he bored? Yeah, he's probably a little bored. I'd be bored if I was stuck in an airport all day. Okay, now that we've discovered the middle, this plane is delayed, that's our problem, right? The plane is delayed. You can't see his Grandpa Joe. What's he gonna do? The end of the story. Think hard, think hard. Raise your hand. Here. Okay, yeah, his dad and mom take him on an adventure. If I can write this, it'll be great. Anything else happens? Does his dad just take him on an adventure to the airport? No, I think something else happens in the end. Who wants to raise their hand and share? Here? Yeah. Dad takes him on the airport, and he sees his grandpa. Sees Grandpa Joe. So, we got our title, Donovan's Airport Adventure. We got our characters, Dad, Mom, Don, and Grandpa Joe. Our setting is the airport. All of this was introduced in the beginning, where we saw he was excited to see his grandpa. The middle of the story is the plane is delayed. He's sad. That's what our problem is. He's can't see his grandpa if his plane's delayed. And then the end of the story, his dad, takes them on a little airport adventure where they count suitcases, they get gummy bears, and they watch planes take off. And he thinks he wants to be a pilot. And then at the very, very end, he sees his Grandpa Joe. Do we think that Donovan's character changed during the story? I want you to think hard on that. Okay, you share it with your partner. Okay, we don't have to share that one out loud. Okay, so we're going to the next story. This one I'm not going to read with you guys. I'm going to print out the little story map. I want y'all to read this story by yourselves and independently to the story map. While some of y'all are doing the story map, I'm going to pull some people aside and we're going to do a little small group time. Hey guys, thank you for coming to this little small group with me. What do we think of the story? You like Donovan's story? Your grandpa lives far away too? Well, I hope you get to see him soon. What'd you think of Eve's story? You play baseball? Well, I bet you're good at baseball. Okay, so I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. Today, in this little small group, I'm going to have you guys work together and put this story in order, okay? Well, mix it up a little bit for y'all if you don't know. Here. Okay, if you need help, let me know. I'm right here. Okay, what do you guys think the beginning of the story is? Well, actually, scratch that. What's the title of the story? This one should be easy. Is it this? Yeah, I knew y'all were smart. I knew you'd get that one. Okay, remember, what's the beginning of the story? Okay, remember the beginning of the story? We introduced the setting and we introduced our characters. So which one of these little 3 papers right here introduce our settings and our characters? Okay, do we think it was this one right here? Where it says, it was Monday morning and Mabel walked into her bright, cheerful classroom? Yeah, why do we think this one is the beginning of the story? Okay, our setting is classroom. Perfect. Who's our characters? Maple? Yeah, that's Maple. Okay, now we can see here, and it was a Monday morning, Maple walked into her bright, cheerful classroom. The walls were covered in colorful posters, and the smell of crayons and glue filled the air. She put her backpack away and looked around. Where's Lila? She asked her teacher. Lila's homesick today, the teacher said kindly. Maple's shoulders dropped. She's my best friend. We always sit together and play together and eat lunch together. Okay, so that's our beginning. What's our middle? Remember, the middle introduces the problem. Do you think it's this one? Okay, so all morning Maple felt a little lonely. She missed laughing with Lila during reading time and drawing with her during art. At recess, Maple sat at the swings alone. Then she had an idea. I can make something for Lila, Maple said. She ran to her desk and asked for papers and markers and stickers. During the free time, Maple worked hard on the card. She drew a rainbow and heart and wrote, Dear Lila, I miss you and I hope you feel better. Love, Maple. Think this is the beginning or the middle? Why do you think this is the middle? Is it the problem? She misses her friend. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big problem. I'm sure we all have experienced when we come in to the classroom and we don't see our best friends there. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to deal with, huh? So this is the middle. So this has to be the end, correct? The next day, Lila walked back at school. Maple ran to her and gave her a card. Lila smiled so big, her eyes sparkled. Thank you, Maple. That made me feel so much better. Maple smiled too. I'm glad you're back. I missed you. Two friends hugged and skipped to join the class together again. I kind of read that weird, but it's okay. Why is this the end? Is this the end because the solution to her problem here is her friend finally shows up and she makes her card and Lila's happy to see her again? Okay, I should print out story maps so y'all can do this a little bit better, but okay, I'm gonna do one more story with y'all.